Here are 3 mistakes that all new lifters make. Now, I appreciate there's a ton of videos like this online, but I'm gonna try and make it short and sweet, and I'm gonna give you 3 pieces of advice that you might not see on these other videos. The first massive, monumental mistake that I see all new lifters or gym goers or health guys make is starting for the wrong reason. What is the reason you're starting to go in the gym and lift weights? It's to get bigger, stronger, more toned, more defined, and more confident, right? Fantastic. That is what I live, breathe, and preach. But you're doing this for the wrong reason. Why? Because you have seen this guy, or this guy, or these guys, and you think by going to the gym, you will look like them. I cannot tell you, how many fitness influencers, gurus, advisors, YouTubers are all on PEDs, performance enhancing drugs, steroids. I can't tell you how many guys I would look at like this when I first started going to the gym, and I thought, all I need to do is go to the gym for a few years and I'll look like this. Why? Because they told me that was the case. They said, yeah, this is me, 4 years into training, I eat 4 meals a day, and I bench press twice a week, and now I look like this. No, they're not telling you the truth. They'll never tell you the truth for a few reasons. Firstly, it's actually in their contract. So a lot of these guys are sponsored by big companies, supplement companies, protein powder companies. And within that contract, they literally sign a waiver saying, I will not tell my fans and my following about my steroid use. Because once people realize that these guys are actually taking drugs, and that's why they look like this, it stops these big companies making money. And the reason they make so much money is because these guys say, hey, I drink this protein shake and I take these BCAAs and this creatine, and that's why I look like this. And then you guys say, oh, I want to look like this, so I'm gonna go to these protein powder companies and websites and spend loads of money on the products that these guys are telling me to buy, and then you don't end up looking like them anyway. Now look, I know people on steroids, I have friends who are on steroids. If you wanna do it, go ahead and do it, but be honest about it. And the reason it's important to be honest about it is because if you genuinely want to help people and you say to people like, look at me, look how great I look. If you want to look like me, do this. Take testosterone. I take Dianarol, okay? And I take these protein powder supplements, and I take creatine, and I eat 5 times a day. Just be honest about your routine. I mean, everyone knows about the Liver King recently being exposed for selling all of his supplements and saying, yeah, look, I'm natural. All you got to do is eat liver and you'll look like me. And it's not the case. And he's let a lot of people down. And unfortunately, a lot of you guys believed him. The biggest fitness influencers on social media, the majority of them are on steroids. I promise you. Does that mean that you can't look good? Of course not. You can look fantastic without the use of steroids. The only big thing that gets me about steroids and these guys who look perfect is that it can often hinder the praise and respect that a lot of men could get if we lived in a world without steroids. These people who work their ass off, these people who look great, these people who bulk up, these people who are naturally strong and big and muscular because they've worked for it. A lot of that is shadowed out by these guys who just inject themselves, blow up, and become famous because of it. They wouldn't look like that if they didn't take steroids. I'm gonna say that again, you really need to listen to this. It's important before you start going to the gym. If these guys didn't take steroids, they wouldn't look like that. There's so many examples of people who have been on steroids and then come off steroids, and it's very obvious, but they don't say it because they're still enclosed within that contract. And look, I'm not trying to, shame these guys. I'm not saying, oh, you guys are terrible people. Not at all. I think they're very inspirational. All the, people I'm showing on these pictures and videos, I think they're all very inspirational. They've got fantastic advice, fantastic videos, YouTube channels, but I'm just choosing some of the guys that I used to follow back in the day. And, sometimes I'm like, oh, I haven't seen these guys for a while. I'll type their name in and boom, they're off steroids. It's like, oh wow, so that's what they look like off steroids. It's so respectable. They look fantastic. They're in amazing shape, and you can do it too. You can look strong, muscular, big, toned, 6-packs, the lot. You can have it, but you just can't have this without taking an insane amount of drugs. So as long as you don't want to go down that road of taking drugs, and if you do, go for it. If you want to be the next Mr. Olympia and stand on stage, go for it. But the kind of guys who are on my channel and take part in my program, these are the guys who want to look and feel like a superhero. These are the guys who want to be their own hero. They want to be their own inspiration. That's what I teach and preach and live and stand by. Being your own source of inspiration rather than constantly taking inspiration from other people. Because when you do that, you start realizing, these guys that they're lying to me sometimes, they're not 100% legit. Can I fully trust what they're saying? But when it's you, when you wake up and your alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and you go out for that morning jog, or you get yourself in the gym before anyone else does, that's on you, not on them. But I can't stress it enough, you can still look absolutely incredible off steroids. And here's some examples of guys that I've seen, and I don't know 100%, but they look like they're certainly natural and they look amazing. They look fantastic. Like, wow, what a great physique. So don't be disheartened. I've been helping men my whole life because I too struggled to put on weight, I struggled to put on muscle, and struggled to put on size, struggled to eat enough food throughout the day, but I've completely figured it out. I know exactly what to do now. And as you can see, you can have an epic transformation without the drugs. So just be very careful on what motivates you, or more importantly, who motivates you to get started in the first place. Be your own inspiration. Be your own hero. Biggest mistake number 2 is, and I don't know why people do this, although I used to do it, so maybe it's in there somewhere. You're obsessed with isolation exercises. What is an isolation exercise? An isolation exercise is when you isolate one specific muscle or muscle group, i.e. hamstrings. Like, I see you there on the hamstring curl, staring into space, lifting a light weight, but at the same time not really working that hard. That's an isolation exercise. And then once you've isolated the hamstrings, you'll then isolate the quadriceps, so the front part of the leg. And again, I see you on the leg extension, swiping away on Tinder and texting people and doing whatever it is you're doing. You're not taking it seriously. And then cables. Oh, I used to love the cables. I was on it in fact, I remember my chest day routine. The whole thing would be on the cables. I'd do high cables, I'd do low, and then in the middle I'd be like, yeah, I hit my upper chest, my lower chest, my middle chest, I'm done. Chest day complete. Stop. Again, these are isolation exercises. Now, don't get me wrong, they're good, they have their place in every program, but they shouldn't be the foundation of your training program. I'm gonna tell you what the foundation should be in a moment, but I wanna address arms as well. What is it with arms? I see guys, and again, I keep saying I see guys, I used to do this as well. We hit arms, right? We just hit arms, 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 and a little bit more arms. Why so many arms? I get it that you think the more you hit your arms, the more growing they're gonna do, and realistically, when we start going to the gym, we want something to show for it, and our chest, our back, our abs, our legs, they're usually always covered up with clothing. But if we wear a t-shirt, you can get your arms out and your shoulders and your forearms and stuff. So I get it, you're training arms every day, but they're not going to grow efficiently if you train like this. It's not true that the more reps and sets you do per muscle group, the more growing it will do. If that were the case, men would dedicate their lives to doing as many push-ups as they could. They do 10 push-ups, next week they do 20 and 30, and you'd have guys out there who could do 1,000 push-ups in a row. In fact, I actually think that is the world record, 1,000 push-ups in a row. Hitting that same muscle over and over and over and over within the same workout isn't effective. The main reason new lifters love isolation exercises, they love using the machines, they love going on the cables is, and this is a hard truth, a hard pill to swallow, but it's because it's freaking easy. It's so much easier than doing what you should be doing. Sitting on the hamstring curl, doing a few curls, then going back to the cables for a bit to hit your back or do some shoulder work. It's easy, right? And it feels good as well. Like you can feel the muscle working, you can feel the tension and the pull on the cable, and you get a nice pump out of it. But there's a reason why, the big guys in the gym, the strong guys, they're barely on the cables. What are they doing? What should you be doing? What did I do? You have to build a base first. How do you build a base? By performing compound movements. There's your answer, compounds. Compounds are how you build a base. What are compound movements? I'm talking about your bench press, your overhead press, your squats, your deadlifts, your hip thrusts. Exercises where you're isolating a specific area through a compound. So for example, if I grabbed the cables and I was just coming out in front of me like this, isolating one pec, that's an isolation movement. But when I'm bench pressing, this is a compound movement. So I'm working my chest, but I'm also working the shoulders, I'm working the triceps, I'm working my core because I'm having to tense as I push. This is why it builds a base. And this is why so many people avoid these exercises, because they are so difficult. They're hard. Have you ever squatted before? Have you ever done a bench press and a deadlift in the same session? It absolutely kills you, and rightly so. Now, like I say, isolation exercises certainly have their place. In my online program, for example, we are doing the bicep curls, we're doing the overhead tricep extensions, we're doing some single arm stuff for stability and core work. But the base of the workout will always be compounds. And this shouldn't change. Even as you get more advanced as a lifter, your go-to movements should always be compounds. So guys on the cables, do 1 or 2 exercises on there, and then please move on to some heavier lifting. But please make sure you are safe, make sure your form is good, take care of yourself out there. The third biggest mistake that I see new lifters make is that they dirty bulk. Okay, now what is dirty bulking? Dirty bulking essentially is when you're trying to consume a bunch of calories, but you don't care where those calories come from. They can come from pizza, donuts, McDonald's. Like, I've been there. Don't worry, I've certainly been there. I remember rocking up at McDonald's and ordering like 5 burgers at a time, you know, for the gains. Why don't I advise dirty bulking? Why is it a mistake? Is because it's not effective for muscle growth. It's certainly effective for putting on weight. It's certainly effective for putting on fat and seeing those scales go up, which again, I've been there. There is nothing more satisfying than seeing the scales go up when you're trying to put on size, mass, and general weight. If you are really skinny like I was and you get on the scales and you're very, very severely underweight, there's nothing wrong with including, you know, some pizza here and there and some ice cream each night to try and put on some size, or blending a protein shake and putting some peanut butter in there with a scoop of ice cream, maybe a bit of yogurt and stuff, and slowly bulk up. But when you just cram the calories every single day, the scales will go up, and it's exciting. Just like if you're trying to lose weight and you see the scales going down, you don't really care how they're going down. You don't care if you're losing water weight, if you're losing general fat from your legs, from your hips, from your face, from your neck. You really don't care where the fat is going or what's losing. You don't even care if you're losing muscle. As long as the scales are going down, you're happy. And it's the same for us. As long as the scales are going up, we're happy. But the problem is, before you know it, you'll step on those scales, you'll look in the mirror, you'll take your shirt off, and you'll realize, I've been putting on fat and not muscle. You can put on fat far quicker than you put on muscle. And that's why it's a waiting game. That's why you've got to have some patience. That's why you've got to leave your ego at the door when you're at the gym, lifting the right weight for you. But also, rather than saying, you know, it's meal number 3 time, let's just go to McDonald's and get 4 burgers. Stop for a second, put your ego at the door and say, nope, let's get those sweet potatoes out, let's get the beans, let's get the veg, let's get the legumes in, let's make sure that we're eating healthy for longevity, for performance, but also for muscle growth. There's nothing wrong with a cheat meal or even a cheat day if you're a hard gainer like I am. Dedicating 1 day of the week, maybe it's a Sunday, to just eating whatever you want when you want, that's fine. But for the other 6 days of the week, make sure you're eating certainly enough calories, but from healthy sources. Don't underestimate high calorie foods. I made a video here, which you can watch afterwards. It's a high protein, very high calorie cheesecake, and all the ingredients are really healthy, apart from there's a bit of Biscoff in there, but you don't have to put that in. You know, yogurts, peanut butter, oatmeal, make more shakes. Put oatmeal, blueberries, peanut butter, scoop of yogurt, scoop of protein in a shake with some high calorie milk of your choice. Blend that stuff up, neck it 2-3 times a day. That's a bunch of calories. There's more calories than in your McDonald's, and far less of the bad stuff. We're trying to look and feel like superheroes. We're trying to be our own inspiration. We don't want to put on a load of fat just for the sake of saying, the scales have gone up. You know, I'm half a stone heavier. Yeah, half a stone of fat. Part of looking and feeling like a superhero is being healthy, is longevity, is having respect for the journey and the process, which can be a long process. It took me years before I figured out nutrition, making sure I'm eating loads of fresh greens and fruits so that I can feel good and perform better and sleep better and recover better and ultimately look better. And I get it as well, you know, going back to these influencer guys, they often make videos or a day in a life and stuff, and they say that, you know, I eat 5 donuts, or they do an eating challenge or something, you know, 10,000 calories in 1 day of junk food. And it's like, that's all well and good, but they're not doing that every single day, trust me. And there are a lot of people out there as well who do the whole day in the life thing. And they say at the end, you know, and for dessert, I have this, and it's like 2 Ben & Jerry ice creams all to themselves. But then obviously there are some people out there who have really fast metabolisms who can eat a load of junk food and not put on fat. But even if you're not putting on the fat, it's not healthy to do in the long run. So by all means, bulk up, but do it in a healthy way. If you need help putting on muscle, bulking up, getting strong, getting shredded, showing your 6-pack finally, filling out t-shirts, looking and feeling like a superhero, please subscribe to my channel. It's really important. Give this video a like as well if you'd like me to make more of these. And you've got to follow me on the social media as well, because I'm always talking about stuff like this. I'm always giving out tons of free information, free advice to you guys. So please take advantage of it. I want you to. I genuinely want to help people. I've been helping men since I qualified as a PT way back in the day. That's all I've ever wanted to do. And now is my time for actually getting it done. So there I am on socials, at George Horlock Coaching. You can find me on all the platforms, Instagram, go on my Facebook page, TikTok as well, and send me a DM as well. Put like a little waving face or something. I'd love to chat to you guys, it'd be great. And before I go, I just want to remind you that I was in that place. I know I've shown this picture so many times, but I was skinny. I was really underweight, like severely underweight. When I was 16, I think I weighed 7.5 stone, which is mad. But I had an epic transformation. I didn't dirty bulk. I didn't take steroids. I didn't constantly isolate my arm. Actually, I tell a lie. Of course, I isolated my arms. That's all I did. Loads and loads of arms training. But once I discovered the beauty of compounds, that's when I had my epic transformation. If you want to undergo a fantastic transformation in just 12 weeks, hit the link below, georgehorlockcoaching.com, fill out a quick consultation form, and then I will be in touch with you. Thanks for watching, guys. Remember to subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.